At the end of the day, selling is transferring a feeling. If you don't have the feeling, you can't transfer it. If you don't have a good, positive feeling, dude, you're an actor. You have to sell and run your business from a place of positivity. And however you get there, God bless you. Welcome to the Pete Primeau Show. It is episode 196, and it's our Ask Pete episode where I get to take the day off, and Chris, my producer and confidant and all things podcasts, will actually play the role of host better than I ever could. But before we do that, let's pay the bills really, really quickly. If you haven't bought my book, Sell a Million, what are you waiting for? 101 tips for furniture and mattress store owners to sell another $1 million or more this year. Traffic is off. This is a marketing book, not a sales book. And if you have any challenges implementing anything, call me at 419-560-3169. I will help you implement any one thing in that book, absolutely free, no strings attached. And I'd like to thank Greg and Steve from the Mattress Industry Network group for their support and for sponsoring the show. If you do not belong in the Mattress Industry Network group, you really should, as long as you're A, in the mattress industry, and B, want to grow. And it doesn't matter if you're a sales pro that works retail, you're a store owner, or you are a VP of sales, a sales rep. If you own a manufacturing company, all of these people are in there. And if you want to get better at what you do, learn how to advertise better, learn how to merchandise better, get better at your craft, and have a place where you're not all alone, where you can ask questions. So if you want to build, market, sell, and succeed in the mattress industry, this is the place to be. So absolutely join the Mattress Industry Network group. Hit that QR code that my fabulous producer is about to put up on the screen, and hit that QR code. And I try to get in there a few times a week. I'm super busy, but I try to get in there. Say hi to me, and I will be happy to hook up with you and say hi back and answer any questions that you might have. I think we have, for some of our friends who are still at High Point, make it a point. If you're in the mattress business and you have not visited Bed and Industries of America, you're absolutely missing it. It's in the Crown Mark building. It's a freestanding building. We're all the way on the 4th floor. It is by far it's literally what it is. It's a candy store for mattress nerds. That's what it is. It is anything that you want, it's there. Whether you want split heads, you want two-sided, you want actively cooling, you want the latest and greatest in latex. A lot of people don't know this. We are the largest producer of latex, our largest consumer of latex, actually. We buy more latex than any other manufacturer in the country. We have Millbrook beds from England, Eclipse beds, you name it, we have it. And here's the best part. A lot of people don't know this about Bed and Industries of America. We are the largest producer of private label goods in the world that I know of, for sure in America. So my friend Steve Carnes, who is the sales director for the entire country, he is manning the space right now. If you're in High Point, stop in there. Absolutely stop in there. I guarantee you will see new ideas that will help you grow your business. And don't sleep on all the natural and organic offerings that we have as well. So without further ado, today, the shoe is on the other foot. I get to sit back here and do nothing while my fabulous producer Chris Stone does all the work, and I just sit around and pretend like I know what I'm doing.
Pete, I think everybody listening and watching knows that you cannot do nothing. It is impossible for you to do nothing.
That's true.
Especially talk.
Thank you, I think.
No, it's a good thing. That's what makes this medium great for leaders such as yourself. It's like, this is about talking, right? it's about listening, but it's about talking as well. So yeah, and this is a fun part of the show. So live viewers and listeners, you get precedent. So if you have any questions while we're going, hit us up in the chat wherever you're at: YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. And it'd be great if you put a Q in there, but I'll be able to I don't know, ferret out the question if you just hammer out a question for us. But we've got plenty of questions that came in since the last time we did this, Pete. And some we haven't gotten to as of yet. So do we want to go ahead and roll?
Yeah, let's just roll. If you have a question, guys and gals, let us know. You take priority over the ones we already have.
All right, let's get this looking like a real thing, and this is not yet. So hang on a quick second. Let's go back to this, and let's just go with this. How about we do?
Man, when they start off with curious, they always make me nervous.
Yes, we'll work on formatting this just so everybody can see it a little bit better. But the first question comes in from Curious in Florida. And Curious asks, Pete, I know this is personal. If it's too personal, please ignore. I just found out you had your shoulder replaced a couple Thursdays ago. I also heard that you were working the same day, putting deals together for your dealers. I also heard the next day you drove 600 miles to go to a funeral, and on the way back home, you had your Zoom call, Win the Weekend with Pete and Friends. Are people exaggerating this, or is this true? The rumor mill, Pete, is out there. So I guess if this is true, what drives you to work this hard? And when we all know you don't need to.
Well, I wish I made half as much money as people think I make, including some of my bosses. So it's partially true and partially not. Yes, I did have my shoulder replaced. Let me see. This Thursday it'll be 3 weeks. So yeah, 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago Thursday, and yes, my lovely wife Jenny Primeau drove me to one of my dear friends and dealers' funeral that was 300 miles away. So yes, it was a 600 miles trip. No, I did not drive it. I was merely a passenger. So yeah, let's get that one straightened out right there. And specifically, curious in Florida, what drove me was not only was Jimmy a dealer of mine, but he was a dear friend of mine. We came to trust each other and to rely on each other and to really share a lot of intel. It was a unique relationship, and it was tough losing him. So I wouldn't miss that funeral for anything. So thanks. Sorry,
Yeah. No, sorry for your loss, Pete. That's any stories about this person that you could share with that might impact your viewers and listeners?
Well, the one thing that was remarkable about Jimmy was he was great at math. There's only one other living dealer who's as good at math that I personally encountered, and that is Bill Daniels at Furniture Fair. So I was working for a furniture company. They had a big warehouse sale. For some reason, they were willing to they were willing to get him a room in a very nice hotel and pay for it, but they were not willing to fly him. So I decided I was going to fly him. And so, reps, this is a really good lesson for you. And human beings, it's a very good lesson for you as well, all of us. So I flew him because, number one, I knew it was a very special event. I knew there were going to be really great deals, and I knew that Jimmy loved a deal, and he financially was strong enough and solid enough that he could handle buying deals. Not every dealer can buy deals, and be financially strong. Some buy too much and make themselves sick. That was not a possibility. So anyway, I always thought he was older than me, and so I grabbed his license and I looked at Jimmy and I said, Jimmy, I go, I always thought you were younger than me, dude. You're like 6, 7 years younger than me. He goes, I know, I've had a very hard life. And he goes, and don't feel sorry for me. It was my fault, which was hilarious, right? Because he he was warm. He was put on no airs. There were absolutely the salt of the earth, as down to earth as could be. The other thing, be hard to get through this part. The other thing that was remarkable, separate story, and then I'm going to tie this other story up, and then we'll move on because we've got a lot to cover. It was a few days after 9/11, and he's Palestinian and he's Muslim. And I came into the store and he greeted me. He said, I'd like to talk to you in my office. And I went back to his office like we normally did. And he said, I want you to know something. I am very, very, very sorry for what those animals did. Muslims don't do this. Only animals act this way. So please realize that this was not my people, that these are different. And it's in the top 5 of conversations that change your life, change your perspective. When you have a grown man in tears that you might misinterpret something. And he wants to communicate his heart to you. That meant a lot. Going back to the warehouse sale. I'm just having fun with Jimmy at the warehouse sale. I've got a clipboard and I'm writing stuff down. I'm not very good at math. I mean, the good Lord found Jenny for me and put us together to complement me in a lot of different ways. One of them was math. So Jimmy was a savant with math. And so I'm just like having fun. And we had a special relationship so we could kid each other. And I said, Jimmy, come on, why don't you buy something? Now, he had ordered like hundreds of items already. And I'm just like, busting balls, like just having fun, right? And he laughs at me. He goes, Pete, do you know how much I've bought? I go, I have no idea, Jimmy. I think I'm about to find out, because I already knew he was brilliant at math and could total orders up in his head. He goes, we're over 150,000, but I'm buying more. Is that okay? Thank you, Jimmy. And I forget if it was a little over 200,000 or a little under 200,000, but it was the largest single order I've ever written at one point in time. So those are my Jimmy stories. I can tell you that the dinners were legendary. He made a mean steak at his house, and I brought him out to some of the nicest steakhouses at markets. And the dinners that we had and the things that we shared as human beings, much more important than the business we ever did, which was substantial. So,
yeah. That's a wonderful tribute, and we've got a comment coming in here. This is either RJ or Tara, or maybe both of them. Who knows? But they're sorry for your loss as well. And that's. I know. This has gotten emotional.
It always does.
we got right into it. But before we get too far, there is a part of this question that we want to answer now. We know you going to the funeral, your drive here, you clearly have answered that. But at the end of this question here from Curious is, you still did all of the things, right? You had a podcast, you did your Zoom call, when the weekend, you were traveling, you had all the surgery. Okay, the funeral aside, there was all these other things. You could have just said, you know what, Chris, let's pass on doing a show this week. We're not going to do the Zoom call. What's the drive there that keeps you going to do this?
I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for the dealer who's struggling, who might make it if he or she implements something that they hear from me that could change their business life and change their personal life. Um, that's that's why I do what I do, to have an impact, to help people that really help me. Listen, I'm just a poor kid from Schenectady, New York. I'm living a dream of a life because of my dealers. And I decided a few years ago I'm going to spend the rest of my career giving back. And the craziest thing about that, Chris, is I'm making more money than I ever have in a down economy. It just doesn't make sense. I'm not trying. I'm just trying to help, and I'm trying to serve and do a good job for my dealers. And the money turns out that it's just a byproduct of having your heart in the right place.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Let's, as we said at the beginning of the show, live viewers take precedent. So RJ's got one here. Pete, RJ here. What's going on, RJ? And if you guys have, all of the shows that we do, all the podcasts that we do, they're available on replay, whether you're viewing on YouTube like RJ is here live, or you've got a podcast player for audio, or you're on Facebook or LinkedIn and you're connected in all those places. All these shows are available for replay, and we had a great episode with RJ and Tara, and it was just a fantastic episode. Just a great business partnership there, great stories there, and so highly recommend going back and catching this show on replay. But RJ asks, what mattress do you sleep on, Pete? Also, what is the one product you've seen over the years that you thought was going to be a huge success but ended up being a flop for whatever reason?
That's interesting. I sleep on a Spink and Edgar from when Mark Quinn owned that manufacturer. I thought that was going to be a big hit, and that turned out to be a flop. But the biggest one that I really missed on was it was a size, not a bed. It was the Olympic Queen. I thought it was going to be a home run. I said, that's just genius. 66 by 80 instead of 60 by 80 or 76 by 80. The 66 width size is going to be great. And it was just an utter flop. And I will say this to the folks at Simmons who were involved in it. You guys changed the industry fundamentally with the one-sided mattress. Everybody followed you. So you had your grand slam home run. Nothing could ever live up to that. And the Olympic Queen was a flop. But you want to know something? God bless you guys for innovating and for trying something new, because you never know when it's going to be something that changes everything. So yeah, good question. Thanks, RJ. I appreciate you being here, man. You always bring a lot of energy.
Our boy Dan Cricks is in the house and says, Pete is the man to answer your questions. That's right. And so if anybody's got any questions on any of these places, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, you got the man, you got the legend, and Dan Cricks knows what's up. And Joe Clay's in the house. Wow. Pete's why is so not selfish. I've taken so much from his wisdom and given. Very grateful. That's awesome. Paying it forward, Joe Clay.
Thanks, Joe. We're roomies. We were roomies in Nashville, and nice. we had a great time, and it was great kind of downloading the day's lessons from the mattress masterclass that Scott Vaughn and Scott Bidwell did, which was just incredible. And anybody out there, if you guys get a chance to go to, I don't know if he's doing another one. I hope that Scott Squared continue to do these master classes. One thing I want to say real quick, shout out to Dan Cricks. Hey, Dan, thanks for the last 2 days. Me and Dan were in a mastermind together for 2 days, this last Friday and all day Saturday till about 3:30, um, and then on 8:30 to 5 on Friday. Dan is such a great marketer. If anybody needs help with their marketing, reach out to Dan. He is rarefied air. And I was in a group of, there was about 13, 14 of us in there from all across the United States and Canada. And, I always feel guilty because this particular mastermind's 10 minutes from my house. You got people flying in from Washington, they're flying in from Canada. We've had people from Australia before fly in, and England fly in before. So, um, it just, I'm going to say this to everybody here that's watching: get into at least two masterminds. One, a marketing mastermind to learn how to market your business. It goes across industries, and then a specific mastermind for your industry. Do that and be the dumbest guy or gal in the room and scramble to become the smartest, and you will always be creating. And the most important thing about these masterminds isn't that they give you this easy answer and, oh, eureka, I'm just going to implement that. Some of my best ideas were ricochet shots. I heard somebody else, it was their hot seat. They had a problem that was different than my problem, but the answer could be applied to another different problem that I'm having in my business. And uh, I have as many notes from when the other people are talking as when it's my turn, for everyone to talk about my business when I pose questions to the group. So, masterminds, I can't recommend them enough. And I can't recommend you reaching into your community, and being part of your chamber of commerce. That to me is not a mastermind, but it is a kind of mastermind. And it's something that you should do in addition to the other two masterminds. So sorry. I know Dan was just saying hi and I made it into a lecture. So I apologize, my friends.
Listen, it's your show, Pete. You can lecture all you want. And speaking of masterminds, and this breaking news, this is breaking good news. Scott Vaughn says there will be another, and in fact, he's working on dates and locations soon, and can't wait.
Awesome, Scott. That is such great news because you're changing lives. Some of the comments that I've seen from people, it's just amazing the good work that you're doing, Scott. And I know that you and Scott Bidwell both do it from your heart, and that's the best. When you start to get away from your schedule because you're serving somebody and you're helping somebody, and then on the break you're sitting there and you're giving somebody free advice that you probably should be charging them $10,000 for. That's given. And that's what we should all be about. So, Scott, good on you. I'm glad. I'd love to do anything I can to help support you. So please let me know.
All right, next question. This is from Anxious in Canton, Ohio. We need some Michigan comments in here. There's too much Ohio going on, Pete. Come on. So Anxious says, Pete, the end of the year is sneaking up on us quick. My mattress store volume is down only about 10%, and foot traffic is down 21%, which I'm okay with. But what steps do I need to take to make sure next year is better?
That's a good question. So I'm assuming that unless you have a new funnel of business that I'm not aware of, like agency business, that you increase your average ticket. If you're watching this live, please chime in and let me know. But I'm going to go under the assumption that you merchandised up and that you're doing a better job with sleep essentials. You're doing a better job with adjustable beds, with protectors, with sheets, and with pillows. That's what I'm assuming. If it's different than that, you really got to let me know, or this won't mean anything. So, first of all, it's October 28th. So now is a really good time to take heed of what's going on, project out what your end of the year numbers are going to be. Because waiting to the end of the year is never works for planning 2025. 2025's got to get put to bed pretty quick with your plan. This is what I would encourage you to do. It seems to me like you almost made up the difference by focusing on better product, on by selling adjustable beds, by selling sheets, protectors, and pillows. So here is my kind of challenge and question to you. What can I do in those areas if traffic continues to be slow to make sure I make up all of the 20%? And by the way, I don't think you're going to be 20 to 25% off in traffic next year. I think a lot of consumers have been holding their breath. Um, obviously on both sides of the aisle. So this is what I believe, that business is going to be a little bit better, but I think your plan should include the fact that it's still going to be slower than normal, and that we really need to work on maximizing each and every ticket for the benefit of the consumer and for your benefit as well. And so this is what I would ask myself. Did I leverage all my resources to fully train my staff? And that includes you. If you are a store owner and you are still working the floor, this includes you as well. So, first thing, um, look at what we were just talking about. A Scott Vaughn masterclass. Go to that if you didn't do that. What did you do this year in the way of seminars, webinars, podcasts that you listened to, books that you read? What have you done to make yourself better? And what has your staff done to make themselves better? Do we have a structured learning program? Even if you're only one store, treat yourself as the salesperson that you are and nourish this salesperson. That's you. If you have staff, make sure you're doing everything you can to keep them in a positive place. And that includes making jokes and having fun, because the worst thing in the world that happens when we get slow is, especially if we're on commission, we're not having as much fun. We get down in the dumps. A really perfectly good customer comes in and we blow it because we're in a bad mood about the other customers that didn't come in. That makes absolutely no sense. And we have to guard against that. So get really good at telling jokes, keep it light, have fun, and do everything you can to make sure that on the sales end of it, we're training our people. We're exposing them to the Bob Munkles of the world, the Scott Vaughns of the world, the Jeff Janakovos of the world, the Brent Bettermans of the world, the guys that do world-class job in sales training. Get these guys on your schedule, and whatever it costs, just do that. And if for some reason you're saying, I can't afford that, then what are you doing? Go to Bob Munkle's website. Go to Scott Vaughn's website. Learn everything you can off of their YouTube channels. On my YouTube channels, there's like, I don't know, 20, 30 videos on selling. Like, they're free. Like, there's no reason not to take advantage of that. So really focus hard on sales training. And then the other thing I will say to you is go deeper in your community. No matter, I don't want to hear, oh, we sponsored a little league and we buy some Girl Scout cookies. Go deeper. No matter how involved you are, go deeper into your community. You will never, ever fail at succeeding by going deeper into your community. Your community is essentially what feeds your store. So go deeper, do things that cost money, but do things that cost time. There are things that you can do to put your store on the radar that only cost you time, and time is valuable. I understand that, but you need to be part of your community. So get more involved in the community, train your salespeople. I hope that helps. Sorry, I did it again. Can't hear you, Chris.
So I did bring up the YouTube channel here, just so folks can see. There is a lot of this thematically plays into the question.
Yeah.
The drive to win. It's the fourth quarter. Keys to success in today's retail world with Michael Whippler. There's the Brett Batterman who you had mentioned, thriving in a down economy, surging forward, and of course, Scott Squared here and how to make your door swing and cash register ring. So there's so much here. It's almost like you're getting little masterminds basically for free. So understood, you may not have X amount to invest financially into some of these things, but when you get these types of leaders in the industry on here, and just haven't been behind the scenes pushing the buttons on these episodes, I can tell you there's a lot of answers to your questions there for sure.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, sorry, I had muted myself at one point, and then you do that thing where you're on mute and you forget all about it. All right, next question here. This is from Conflicted in Atlanta. All right, well now we got my home city represented.
You can't get any closer than that.
Hey Pete, just got back from High Point Market. I didn't realize how bad business was. I am an independent rep. How do you stay positive? How do I help my dealers stay positive?
Well, Conflicted in Atlanta, I'm super glad that you realize that part of your job is to help your dealers be positive. Now, that is a very fine line that we walk as reps. Being authentic and being positive. You can't be throwing daisies out and lying about traffic and saying everything's good. You need to be very accurate in information that you're relaying to a dealer. Okay. And sometimes that's not great news, but there's always a positive way to look at it. And there's always a dealer or two or three or four, in my case, more like 10, because I'm super blessed, that are doing well. And so communicate those lessons. What are the guys that are doing well, doing differently and better than the other guys? And I can tell you right off the top of my head what they are right now. They're more active in the community. They merchandise split heads to capture and look different. There's real benefits to a split head construction, whether it's all foam or hybrid, to the customer. And it makes you look different than your competition. And oh, by the way, there's millions and millions of dollars being spent by Sleep Number making that a thing. So don't sleep on two-sided mattresses, and don't sleep on diagnostic mattresses that help you to make the selling process go faster and easier. So that's just a few things. Reaching deep into the community, being of service to your community is the most single most important thing. So things that you should be teaching your dealers. A lot of times we are dealing with superstar salespeople who open their own stores. They don't know how to advertise. They don't know how to write a business plan. Help them write a business plan. Help them advertise. Help them and point them in the direction of other people who have expertise. They'll love you forever for doing that. Can you flip back to that question real quick? There was one other thing I just saw. So how do I stay positive? It's super simple. Super simple for Pete Primeau to be positive. My grandfather died of a massive heart attack when he was 44. My dad died of a massive heart attack when he was 51. Every day Pete Primeau wakes up, he says 2 words. Thank you. The next thing that I say is good morning, Jesus. I am thankful that I've been given a day that I can be of service. And so that's how I stay positive. Now, I work out. I love working out, whether it's walking, whether it's isometrics, whether it's CrossFit, lifting weights. I love that stuff. And that's a mood changer. But the other thing is something near and dear to my producer's heart, Chris Stone, music. Music is the essence of life. You know your songs. You know your songs that take you from a bad place to a good place. Have those at the ready to play. Sometimes you need extra help, and music is that extra help. And sometimes it's a song from your youth, and sometimes it's just a particular message that has resonated with you in the past. But you know what your few songs are that like can transform you and take you to a better place. Don't forget about that. And then the last thing, this is kind of getting into the weeds a little bit. Be aware of your diet. You know, if you're usually pretty good and then you start eating a lot of sugar, you're going to notice you're going to go up and down with your mood. So make sure you get enough good whole food. Everybody here knows how to eat. So I'm not going to give you a lecture on it, especially when I look like all I do is eat junk, and that's actually not true. But I hope I answered that question.
Well, I think I just will dovetail a little bit on that, Pete, and I know we've got a number of questions. It's like, we all know that eating the right types of foods and not, overindulging in either bad foods or alcohol or whatever is a bad thing. And we all know exercising is a good thing, yet we don't do it all of the time. And so I think what I got out of what you said was, and I could just see it in your face when you talk about it, is when you wake up, you're grateful. And when you can wake up and you have something you can look forward to, and if you're a person where business is down and finance is down, I'm not trying to diminish that stress, because that can be very stressful for some people. But if you're doing it just for money and success, you're probably going to have mornings where you're not waking up wanting to do anything. Like you have to find something, and I love how you went to music, obviously, but whether it's any form of art, anything that, some people like to meditate, some people, like yourself, will pray, some people will, it's a mindset. It's a way to get your mind away from these stresses that, you can only control so much. And so I think from a mindset perspective, Pete, I really love how you went there, and you didn't go, you talked about some practical things that somebody can do, but you went right to community. And, no amount of money that you get and success that you get is going to make you feel nearly as good as how you can give back to your community and impact someone's life. And so that if you have more of that in your mix, and less of the, hey, I can't wait to get as much money as I can so I can stop working mentality, I think that's what's going to help, to stay positive.
Yep. I agree 1,000%. Thank you for your email, Conflicted in Atlanta.
All right. Next one. Grateful. Oh, another Ohio. Come on, Pete. Grateful in Ohio. thank you for pushing me to go. Hey, we brought this up earlier. Thank you for bringing me or pushing me to go to the Wingo Coaching Masterclass. I made a few small changes, and now I'm selling better mattresses, adjustable bed bases, protectors, sheets, and pillows. We never sold over $2,000, and now we have tickets well over $5,000. How much higher can I go? Grateful in Ohio. That's good news.
Yeah, I think I know who this is, and I would say this: you're doing great, and you started to implement right away, and you haven't felt the full impact of changing your arsenal. And by your arsenal, I'm talking about adding some better higher end lines, um, some all latex specifically. Those aren't even on your floor yet, so that will push you up over $10,000. Here's the thing. You just have to really get this and really understand this. You are not your customer. You will wait on customers that don't have a dollar to rub together, and you will wait on plenty of customers that could write a check for anything they want to. And especially if you're working with Scott Bidwell at Trellis Marketing, you're going to get a lot more of those better customers. But you have to become that better store. And so one of the things that I worry about is you have to increase everything at the same time. It needs to be consistent to the dealer. So to not to the dealer, to the consumer. Sorry for that. So this is let's just take it from and the way it really works, right? It's this, right? It starts with your smartphone, with your customer's smartphone. They go to your website, they see pretty pictures, they see, you know, things that they like. Your store needs to look like that website. If your store doesn't look like that website, it's a disconnect. And they ask themselves, am I in the right place? So there needs to be consistency between the website and between what your store actually looks like inside and out. Then when they start to see the merchandising has to be consistent with the website and with what the store looks like outside and inside. And then the salespeople have to be well trained. They have to be professional. They need to be courteous. Their heart needs to be in the right place. Most importantly, I can take a salesperson with a good heart and ex- exponentially by just a few techniques increase their business. Um, I can give all the technical things to somebody whose heart's not in the right place, and they're never going to be successful. So make sure that you invest in sales training, not just inside of the business. Some of you guys have some really great reps that can do sales training. Not all sales reps can do sales training. You're better off, in my professional opinion, paying for it with a Bob Munkle or with a Brent Batterman. And getting the best of the best that you can possibly afford. And until then, live on YouTube. Um, you could live on my YouTube channel for a while. But I know that Bob Munkle's putting stuff out there. I know that Brent Betterman and his group, they're putting all kinds of stuff out. So make sure that the training catches up to the new look of the store, and the lines that you actually have in the store are not just promotional lines and now you've dressed up the store, but the inside and the heart and the soul of the store haven't caught up with it. So you're going to blow over $10,000, not as an average. I think your average will probably be $6,000 or $7,000, but you'll have 10, 12, $15,000 sales. um, One of my friends, in a population of just under 4,000 people in Kentucky, had a salesperson that had one sale for $16,000. And it was just a sale for a master bedroom, but it included an adjustable bed, it included sheets, it included pillows, it included protectors, and among the best in the industry, not cheap stuff. Don't give cheap stuff away. Sell better quality stuff, and you'll be amazed at how high you can go. But just remember this: you are not your customer. If you had struggled in the past and you start to implement these things, you're not going to be struggling anymore. And just remember, customers, especially with proper finance options, they can afford a lot more than we think they can afford. And that is one of the huge secrets, is having the right finance options and having your salespeople trained to properly use those to be able to expand the sale to its full capabilities. And I will say this, I've always said this, and I always will say this: a customer is always better served by getting the best of the best mattress they can get their hands on, the best adjustable bed they can get their hands on, the extended warranty for the adjustable bed so that they can have peace of mind, the best protector, the best set of sheets that don't slip. Hint, hint, dream fit. um, the best pillows, and you're going to be amazed. You're not even close to really finding out where you're going to be at. You probably need at least another year to fully understand, and then you probably want to take that master class again, go back again after a year or year and a half, take it again, and you'll come away with a whole nother notebook that'll keep you busy for another year to 2 years. So sorry to wax on and on.
No, we're good. We're good. So next question. Thank God we have somebody from Michigan that's emailed you, Pete, with a question. So hanging by a thread in Michigan says, how important is financing in today's market? I've always been a more promotional store and traffic has dried up. What should I do?
Well, isn't that ironic that the one from Michigan is just, this breaks my heart. Hanging by a thread in Michigan. How important is financing in today's market? It's more important than anything else. It's more important than the merchandise that you carry. It's more important than your advertising. It's the single most important thing. And for years and years and years, most of my 43 years, if you ask me that question, I would always tell you it's your advertising and your overall marketing that's the most important thing. But with today, the stress on today's family, with inflation and with uncertainty and with all the things that happen in the world, finance options have become the single most important thing. So get educated, get in the Mattress Industry Network group, get in that group and ask questions about finance companies. And I'm going to tell you at the beginning, it'll be very confusing. Everybody's got an opinion, and a lot of times they contradict each other. Okay. Just keep going through it. I would tell you, if you want a low cost entry point into a group that can do amazing things for you, Jeff Chinakovo's group, I think it starts off with a $7 trial for like 14 days. It is, Chris, if you can find the name of that group, for some reason it's escaping me.
Mattress Retailer Toolkit.
MRT. Yeah. That is a great group. For $7, you can test drive it for 14 days, see if it's for you. It's a great group of people. I mean, and I think it goes up to $97 a month, which is like you make one sale from one new idea and you've made your money back. RJ that has, been asking some questions and making some comments. He got his money back for the next 5 years with the first idea he implemented. Him and Tara are just unique. They're rarefied air. They're implementers to the nth degree, and they jumped all over Be Back Bucks and have had incredible success. And so that's a group that you can join, and it will pay you dividends. Even Scott Vaughn's in that group, who to me, pound for pound, is the greatest mattress retailer in the country right now. And I know that's going to hurt the feeling of some of the top 100s, but all you got to do is look at the population, look at the business he's pulling out of those populations, and look at the margins he does it at. And there's nobody that is even in his league in performance. So, Mattress Retailer Toolkit, also Wingo Coaching. Jump into the next master class. Scott Vaughn was kind enough to jump in, and Scott's become a super, super busy guy, and he barely has time to ever even say hi to anybody these days. But if you go to Wingo Coaching, he will be announcing the next master class. I was at the first two. The one in Paducah was special. That's where I got to meet RJ, and I got to meet Chris Nelson, and so many smart guys in that room. And Randy Thompson was in that room, who's an expert by himself, but he realized that there are things that he can learn. So wingocoaching.win. These are resources that you can use to help pull yourself up. This is what I'm going to say to you. The very first thing that goes when we're struggling is creativity. When you're worried about paying the bills, you're worried if, a manufacturer who you're behind with on the bills is going to continue shipping. You're worried about, your landlord padlock in the front of the building and you can't get in, which happened to one of my dealers recently. It drains you. And the first thing that goes is your creativity. And one of the beauties of a group like MRT, for $7, freaking cup of coffee with a few extras in it. You, for 14 days, you could immerse yourself into all the teachings in that group. And then for ongoing $97 a month, which is nothing, especially if you start making some more sales by implementing something, chances are there are a lot of things that you can do to improve the customer experience in your store, and to do a better job with the little bit of traffic that you're getting. But here's my advice to everybody who's really struggling in a major way. And when I see hanging by a thread, my heart starts going a little bit, because I know what that feels like. And I've seen a lot of dealers go through that in 43 years, and it's heartbreaking. And sometimes we save them and sometimes we can't. I want you to think about Gorilla, everything Gorilla. Sign holders, you hold the sign yourself. You make the sign yourself. Doesn't have to be fancy, doesn't have to. Find somebody else's old signs, turn them inside out, and scratch out a message that's relevant to your customer. Get them to come into your store by hook, crook, any which way you can get them in. And remember this: you're always marketing. Your marketing radar. If you buy my book, one of the very first chapters is always be marketing. Antenna up. Always antennas up. What businesses in my community can I run cross promotions with that virtually cost nothing, that help both of us? I can do something for them, they can do something for me. And how do I execute on that stuff? But think about low cost or no cost things that I can do to get customers. And it could be as simple as this. You'll walk into the local bakery, you buy something, you go, hey, I own the mattress store down the road, and you know, maybe we should send customers back and forth. I don't know. I don't know what the script looks like. You can ask Jeff Janakovo and uh, our friend Scott Vaughn at Wingo Coaching what that actual conversation should look like, because they do this every day. And I haven't done it in years, but just get aggressive. If you're going to go down, please promise to me and to everything that's holy to you that you're going to go down swinging. And if you really commit to that, you won't go down. You'll just start swinging, and you'll miss a lot of balls, but you'll connect on a few. And all it takes is a few sales to kind of get your head above water, where you can finally start feeling like there's hope. Because when you're hanging on by a thread, it's very, very difficult. So wish you luck. Call me at 419-560-3169. I don't care if you buy all 6 of my lines from me or you buy no lines from me. I will help you. How's that? You're muted.
Sorry, we're coming up here on the end, and so let's try to get one last question in here as we round third. See, a little baseball analogy there.
There we go.
Dovetailing on what you had to say. This is Excited in Southern California. Pete, I watch all your podcasts, and I join your Zoom call, Win the Weekend with Pete and Friends, almost every Friday. I heard a rumor that you have a new book that will be published in January of 2025. Is this true? I also heard that it's a book for retail sales pros. Is that true? If yes, then I need to pre-order.
Yes. I am publishing a book in January of 2025. Yes, it will be a book for retail sales pros to sell more. And it's and no, you may not buy a copy. I know who you are, and I will give you a free copy. So thank you for your I have a sneaking feeling you already knew that I was doing that, but you just wanted me to be able to say it publicly. So yes, and I'm very excited about it. When we started discussing, all of the articles that I've written over the years, and then we started to put them into categories, what we found is I would have bet you, and this is why it's so important for us as business owners to always measure everything, because sometimes what we end up measuring is different than what we thought our gut feeling was. I would have told you that almost all of my my blogs and my articles that I've written would have been about advertising and marketing. That's what I would tell you. I would say there were a few in there about management, and I would say that there was, a fair amount regarding sales. And what we found out when we actually dialed it in and separated it all out, it was almost all about sales. A huge portion of what my creative output in the last 43 years has been about sales. And listen, guys, gals, I'm going to tell you this. I am the absolute worst natural salesperson ever in the history of the world. I ended up having to get good at sales to feed my family. And once I figured it out, once I figured out that sales is something that I do for someone and not to someone, that's when I started to have incredible success. That's when I found a whole nother gear to go to dig down deep and to make a sale. So this is what the team that is writing the book with me figured out. I've traveled over 2 million miles, over 2 million miles in 43 years. And that's just driving. That is not miles that I put on airplanes. So I've been able to sit at the feet of some of the best retail salespeople and just ask them questions. I was blessed in retail and wholesale, both with great mentors. And I've rubbed elbows, exchanged ideas, had breakfast, lunch, and dinner with some of the best. And I'm going to share all of that with you guys. Um, is that RJ or is that Tara? It doesn't matter. You guys speak with the same voice. That's very nice. Scott Vaughn, stop it. You sold Jenny on marrying you, and that makes you a legend. Absolutely, 100%. Yeah. If I could sell this to Miss Jenny, you're 100% right. I am I'm a great salesman, right? I will be happy to buy copies for anyone who may not be in the position to buy their own. This is RJ and Jacksonville Bed and Mattresses and More. I would love to support Pete and all he does, and I know the book will help anyone who reads it and uses it. Wow. Well, you can't make this stuff up, can you, Chris?
Nope. No, sir. That's gotta make you feel pretty good. Before we end the show, Pete, I gotta make mention of this. For those of you who are watching, there's a number of folks that are watching and listening. And if you're watching or listening on replay, this is good for you too. We are fast approaching episode 200. And episode 200 is going to look a little bit like this, like what you see. We're going to have questions that have come in. However, we are going to open up the backstage and allow anyone who is wanting to join that show and be here live and say something to Pete on episode 200, or ask Pete something on episode 200, or tell or get me off of the screen, whatever you want to do. Episode 200, we are 4 away. It's episode 196, and we're finishing episode 196. So 3 episodes from now is episode 200. It'll be the Monday of Thanksgiving week. So if you want to join live and just, kind of pop in, we'll provide everybody a link, and you can kind of pop in and say whatever you have to say. If you just want to join for a minute or two, you can absolutely do that. If you want to join for longer, I think we'll allow that too. Just behave yourselves. That's all we ask. But yeah, I wanted to make mention of that, and we'll be mentioning that and marketing episode 200 as we approach as well. So
where did time go, my friend?
I don't know. It's called having fun.
Yeah,
yeah. That's it. Yeah, it's a blast for sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Chris, for producing and hosting this episode. Thanks, Scott Vaughn. Thanks, RJ. Did I miss anybody? Yeah, that's asking a lot.
Yeah. Joe Clay joined us. Dan Cricks as well. Yep.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I can't wait to see you guys next week. And thanks for all you do. I will see you guys at our normal time on Friday for Win the Weekend with Pete and Friends. So till then, sell a million, guys and gals.